Nobody warns you that the second time you begin something is harder than the first. There's a specific kind of difficulty that only shows up when you have stopped. Not stopping itself, stopping is easy. Stopping is almost present in the moment. The difficulty comes later when you go to begin and realize the version of you that used to do this without thinking, he's gone or not gone, just asleep somewhere, and waking him up takes more than I expected. The first time you start something, you have momentum you don't even know you have. You have novelty. The newness pulls you toward it. Everything feels like discovery. The second time, there's none of that. The second time, you already know how hard it gets, you already know how unglamorous middle is, and you have felt the part where it stops being exciting. And you have to begin anyway without the illusion that carried you the first time. That part nobody talks about. Beginning when you already know what you're walking back into. I think the first time around I was protected by not knowing. I didn't know how slow it would be. I didn't know how long the gap between effort and result actually is. So I moved freely, lightly, like someone who hasn't been hurt yet. And then I stopped for a while. And in that pause, all the knowledge caught up with me. So now, when I think about starting again, I'm not starting from the same place. I'm starting from the place that's heavier, a place that's seen the difficulty up close and remembers it. It's like the difference between walking into a cold room for the first time and walking back into uh, after you have already felt how cold it is. The second time, your body braces, it anticipates, and that anticipation is its own kind of resistance. The first time is innocent, the second start is informed, and informed is heavier. The strangest part is how much the body forgets. You'd think the habit lives in your mind, that once you've decided something, the decision stays decided. But it doesn't work like that. The habit lives in the doing, in the repetition, and when the repetition stops, the habit doesn't just pause, it quietly dissolves. So, coming back, I notice the thing I built isn't where I left it. The early mornings that used to be automatic feel like a fight again. The focus that used to come easily takes effort to summon. The whole structure I thought I'd permanently install myself, it turns out it was never permanent. It was being held up by daily act of doing it. And the moment I stopped doing it, it started coming down. That's humbling in a way I didn't expect. To realize that none of it is owned, that discipline isn't a thing you achieve and then keep. It's a thing you rent, and the rent is due every single day, whether you feel like paying it or not. There's a voice that shows up specifically in the restarting. It's not the same voice that tells you to quit. That one is loud and obvious and easy to recognize. This one is quieter, more reasonable. It doesn't tell you to stop, it just asks, why bother starting again? It says, you have already proved you can do it once. Isn't that enough? It says, you stopped pretty easily, so maybe it didn't mean as much as you thought. It says the momentum is gone now. You'd basically be starting from zero. Why put yourself through that again? And the thing about that voice is that it sounds like wisdom. It sounds like it's protecting you. It frames giving up as kind of awareness, as if not restarting is the mature, realistic choice. But I have learned to be suspicious of any voice that makes quitting sound like growth, because it's usually just fear dressed up nicely enough to let it in the room. What I keep coming back to is that the starting over feeling is temporary. It feels permanent. That's the trap. When you're at the bottom of a restart, looking up at all the ground you've lost, it feels like you will be climbing forever. Like the gap undid everything, and now you're truly back at the beginning. But that's not actually true. You are not back at the beginning, you are at different place that just feels like the beginning. The knowledge is still there, the reps you did are there. They didn't fully disappear, they left something behind, even if it's blurred. The second climb is faster than the first, even when it feels slower, because you're not learning this path the first time. You're just remembering it. The hardest part isn't the climb, it's the first few steps. It's overriding the part you have already gotten comfortable in the stopping. Once you're moving again, actually moving, a few days in, the heaviness lifts faster than you'd believe. But you have to get enough reps and get through the first few steps without proof that it gets easier. On faith, on nothing but the memory that was once possible. I think this is why many people start things once and never return to them. Not because they can't, but because the restart asks something the first start never did. It asks you to begin without the excitement, without the novelty, without the story of this is new and I'm finally doing it. The restart is just you, the cold room, and the choice. No drama, no momentum, just the quiet, unsexy decision to do the thing again, even though you already know how hard it gets. And I think there's something almost more meaningful in that kind of beginning. The first start is easy to be proud of. Everyone celebrates the first start. But the restart, the return of stopping, that one is private. Nobody claps for it. Nobody even sees it most of the time. It's just you, alone, choosing to pick something back up that you had every reason to leave behind. That says more about who you are than the first start ever could. Because the first start can be motivation, the restart can only be character. So, I'm starting again. Not from the top, not with momentum, not feeling ready or excited or sure, just from wherever I actually am right now, which is colder and heavier and further back than where I'd like to be. With a body that's forgotten the routine and the mind that has to talk itself into the first few steps. But I'm taking them anyway because I've learned that waiting to feel ready to restart is just another way of never restarting. The readiness comes after the first step, not before it. You move first and the feeling follows. That's the order. It's always been the order. The cold room is still cold. The voice telling me not to bother is still there. The ground I lost is still lost. And I am beginning again, regardless. Not because it's easy, it isn't. Because the restart is where it actually counts.